Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World. And today we're here at the Jardim da Estrela Park here in Lisbon, Portugal. And today what we have are budget tips for first-time or newer travelers, so they know when they travel some of the mistakes they might make with their budget so they don't make them, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different money issues. We're going to talk about transportation budgeting, hotels, restaurants, and just some general travel budget advice so you're better prepared to travel and your money can go a lot farther and you're not just like setting it on fire and throwing it away, okay? And what I want to do is I want to start with just general kind of money tips when you are traveling. And the first thing I want to say is make sure you know the exchange rate of the countries you're going to go to. Not knowing the exchange rate can be a quick trip to running out of cash. Because the thing is, if it's £5, is that a lot of money or a little money? If it's 5 escudos, is that a lot or a little? I mean, you have to think about these things. Is 5 reals a lot or a little? Knowing the exchange rate, you'll realize, oh, a 3-pound Coke in England is actually $5. Wait, I don't want to spend that much for a can of Coke at a restaurant. It helps you know these things. So that's the first thing. Always know the exchange rate. Other things with money, when you're going to be taking money out or exchanging money, don't exchange money at the airport. You usually always get a worse exchange rate, and that's not something you want. So you want your money to exchange into more money than possible, and the airport's not the place for that. However, I will say this, if you're going to a cash-dominant society, like we were in Morocco, and it's all about cash there, sometimes it is a good idea to at least exchange some money at the airport so you have some cash in case you can't find an ATM or something like that. And speaking of ATMs, our go-to way to get the best exchange rate for exchanging money, we use our local bank debit card at a bank ATM when we travel. Why? Well, your local bank is probably the one bank that's trying to like not mess you up the most. They want to save you the most money. So you're going to get a good exchange rate with them and probably the least number of fees. Also, if you go to an ATM in a bank, they usually have lower fees than a private ATM service. So just have a heads up for that one. Another thing, when you do take out money from the ATM, if they offer you the conversion, don't take it. Don't ever take the conversion at the ATM because they'll say, oh, you want to take out 200 euros? That's great. We'll convert it to $253. You're like, oh, okay, well, I know what my money's going to exchange with. But the thing is, if you look at the actual exchange rate, you might see that the actual exchange rate for 200 euros should be $226. Those conversions, whether it's at an ATM or it's at a store, you are not going to win. You are always going to lose, okay? So just say, no, I'll decline. I want the local currency. So then your bank can handle the exchange rate. I know just now we went to a bank here and I got out 200 euros and they offered me the conversion of $253. Well, at the exact same time, I went to the official exchange rate and it was $226. So just a heads up for that. Don't do the conversion because you can lose up to 10% of your money right there. Another thing with cards I want to talk about. One, make sure you always call your debit card, your bank, and your credit card companies to let them know you're going to travel and where you're going to travel. But the thing is with the budget side of it, always try to get a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees if you're going to be traveling internationally, because that can add on 3% to every single purchase. So it's not $100, it's $103. It's not $1,000, it's $1,030. And that can really add up. So do try to get a credit card with no foreign transaction fees. So now I want to kind of focus on some transportation budget issues. One thing when you're looking at your tickets, don't just look at one website to buy your tickets. What we do, we'll look at kayak.com or skyscanner.com. We'll get their prices and then we'll see, oh, they have a deal on Delta. Why don't we check delta.com as well and see if I can save a little bit more money there. And look around, because most of the time you're buying the same ticket anyway, but be open to, searching a bit more. Because if you just go to one site, that could be an issue. Also, another little budget hack for you, when you are searching for plane tickets, make sure you're searching in incognito mode or safety mode or whatever, where it's secret mode so they don't track your cookies, so they don't artificially inflate the price a little bit to inspire you to buy earlier, okay? And the thing is, when you're looking for those tickets, here's another don't I have for you. Don't wait, okay? The longer you wait to buy your tickets for your planes, your trains, your hotels, I know it's not a ticket for your hotel, but book your hotel rooms, the pricier they get. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get that last minute deal. I'm going to tell you right now, those last minute deals, they don't come around very often. That's why they're so great when you do get them. you need to be booking in advance to get your tickets and get your best prices, because you do wait last minute, even the cheap airlines get really expensive. And the hotels, well, they book out and their prices get going up higher too. So don't wait to book. That's a big budget plus for you. Make sure you're booking early, okay? And I mentioned those cheap airlines, and I do have another kind of budget thing I want to tell you about. And that is, don't think that all those low-cost airlines and budget airlines are as actually cheap as you think they're going to be. I know they advertise prices. Oh, fly for £1 or fly for 20 euros or go across the US for $89. Look, the cheap airlines are cheap for a reason, because they charge for everything. So if you're going to have to pay to check your luggage and maybe pay to have a carry-on and pay to print out your ticket and pay to use a credit card, these kind of things add up, and that can really hurt your budget. But the thing that's even worse is sometimes these cheap airlines, they don't go to the main airport. They go to an airport outside of town. So then you have to pay for the transportation in and out to that airport. And if you're getting a flight that comes in at, let's say it leaves at 6 a.m., there might not be public transportation out there. So you got to pay a taxi to go out there. I know for me, I used to fly from Lithuania to London a lot. And I did one time, I flew back on a Sunday. Well, the problem was my flight was at 6 a.m. on a Sunday from Stansted. I had to take a 100-pound cab ride to the airport for my 30-pound flight because there was no transportation. So sometimes the idea is look at the EasyJets and stuff like that, see what their prices are, then compare to the British Airways or the Lufthansa's or the TAP like here in Portugal, because sometimes you'll see as, wow, getting in at like noon is way better than 6 a.m. or vice versa. So you want to think about those things. Also, when you are traveling, don't forget, public transportation is your best friend. Especially when you're here in Europe, public transportation will get you everywhere, buses and trains and things like that, and they're super affordable. The thing is, though, I know a lot of people like to do taxis and Ubers everywhere. The thing is, taxis and Ubers really eat up a lot of your cash for things that you could do for a fraction of the price with public transportation. So when you do go to a town, get an idea of what the public transportation is. Here in Lisbon, they got metros, they've got trams, they've got buses, all kinds of stuff that can help you out, and that'll get you around for a fraction of the price, okay? Now, when you're buying all these things or booking these tickets and stuff like that, another thing I'm going to tell you is don't forget to collect miles. Look, sign up for the frequent flyer program of the airline you're flying with. Sign up for the membership rewards program for the hotels you're staying in. Because one of the things is sometimes they give you discounts, like lower prices for our members. Or you might get free Wi-Fi, or maybe a free breakfast, or maybe a free upgrade, or heck, just getting on the plane earlier can make a big difference. And so don't forget to just sign up and collect those points, because eventually you might get some other free stuff too, but it's a nice thing to have. And going along with those points, another thing I want to say is don't forget to use your points, but don't always feel like you have to use your points. What I mean by this is if you collect enough points to get a free flight, don't use a free flight on a cheap trip. Like, I will never use my miles to do a free trip from the US to Ireland because those flights are really cheap. I'll use it for going from the US to Japan, or I might use it for an upgrade somewhere. Make sure you're using those miles for the right kind of stuff so you get the bigger bang for your buck with them. And with those points, I'm going to tell you another thing to help with your budget. Just because you have points at Marriott or points with United or Delta, don't think that you always have to stay with them and always have to fly with them. Because the thing is that might be a more expensive flight. And you might see, if I fly Aer Lingus, it's actually, $200 cheaper than flying with Delta. I mean, sometimes this happens. And so what you need to do is kind of balance. Is it worth the miles? Are the miles worth $200 or $400 for a longer trip? You want to think about those things, because that's one way you might be like, yes, I want to do Delta because I love them. And we do, but on a budget, maybe it's a better idea to look at your options out there. Don't be like, beholden to the miles, okay? And when you're buying your plane tickets, another budget thing you can think about is using what's called a multi-city ticket. Now, there's round trip tickets where you leave from Chicago, go to London, come back from London to Chicago. The thing is, if you do a multi-city ticket, I can fly from Chicago to London, and then I do my trip through Europe, and then I fly back from Rome to Chicago, and I don't have to double back to London. Now, the thing is, these multi-city tickets might cost a little bit more money, but if you use it, you don't have to double back. So you're not wasting a travel day or wasting the money to go fly back to that location, because a lot of times that cost to get back to London is going to be more than if you just bought the multi-city ticket, okay? So definitely check that out. And when you're booking tickets, they'll have that option. You'll have a return ticket, a one-way ticket, and then a multi-city ticket or multi-destination ticket, okay? We've got the transportation out of the way. Now we have to think about our hotels and some budget things to get there. One little thing I've noticed, I see a lot of people that kind of count on the hotels to have the toiletries for them. The thing is, some hotels will make you pay for the toiletries, or you got to go to a CVS or a Walgreens or a pharmacy to pick up your stuff. Don't forget to bring your toiletries with you. Just get the travel sizes from Target back home just to save yourself the money, because, you know, buying your toothpaste, your toothbrush, all these little things, they add up. So just have that kind of with you so you don't have to worry about it at your hotel, okay? Now, so like serious hotel stuff, one, don't pay for breakfast at a hotel. If your hotel is making you pay $20 or $10 for a breakfast, realize that you can go to a cafe outside and maybe get breakfast, a coffee and a pastry for a couple euros here in Lisbon. Or if in the US, you go head to a restaurant and pay, $5 to $10 for a breakfast versus the 15 to 20 at the hotel. So don't pay for breakfast. That's an easy way to burn through your budget. Another thing I'd say with breakfast is, if it's a hotel that gives you free breakfast, don't oversleep. Because if you get your breakfast there, maybe that'll get you through lunchtime, or just make it so you only have to have a snack at lunch so you can save some money on your food budget that way. Another hotel thing I would say is watch out for the hidden costs. You want to read the reviews of your hotel and see, are the resort fees included? Are there extra taxes you have to pay? Because those can add up. I know I went to Vegas a couple years ago and I paid for my hotel all online, $150 a night, and then I get there. Oh, well, sir, there's also a $25 resort fee that gives you Wi-Fi and access to the pool. It didn't matter if the pool wasn't open, I still had to pay that. And so all of a sudden that $150 hotel room jumped up to $175. And some places have higher resort fees than that. So make sure you're checking for the fees that go along with your hotel, because that can take a hotel out of your price range that you wouldn't look in the first place. So do have a heads up for that. Also, with accommodation, if you're in a group of 4 people or more, I would think it'd be a good idea for you to also look at the opportunity to rent an apartment when you're going to go travel, because a lot of times apartment rentals are cheaper than having to rent 2 hotel rooms, okay? You can look at that. Also, it can save you money because you can have breakfast at your apartment, or you can cook a dinner or a lunch at your apartment, and it gives you a kind of a base to be at. So that's actually one thing that we do a lot with our family, because we've got kids, they have a place to play or rest and stuff like that. So that is very nice, and it does save us quite a bit of cash. And speaking of save yourself some real cash, don't forget about your friends. Look, you can go stay with your friends when you travel. One of the best parts of when we travel is going to see our friends. Sometimes we stay with them, sometimes we don't. And for a budget-conscious person, staying with your friends can save you a bunch of money. But I will say this, remember, friends and fish smell after 3 days. So if you're going to go someplace, like let's say you're going to go to DC and stay with your friends. I know we went to stay with our cousins, okay? In DC, we stayed with them for 2 nights, and then we stayed in downtown DC for 3 nights. Because like, look, we love you, you love us, and we want to keep it that way. So let's kind of mix and match that way, all right? But don't think that you don't need to stay with them, but just have a heads up, because that could be a way to save a little bit of money. Now, if you are staying in those apartments, it's really nice to save money by cooking at your apartment. And the thing is, that kind of leads into a food budget idea for you. One thing is, don't be afraid to go to the grocery store, the supermarket, to pick up some snacks and get some food there, because you can come to beautiful parks like the Jardim da Estrela here in Lisbon and have a picnic here. I mean, we did it lots of times when we lived here. Our Sunday afternoon, we go to church, then we come up here and have a little picnic, and it was a really nice thing, and it saved us a lot of money. So that's one thing. Though I do know not everyone wants to do grocery shopping and cooking for themselves when they travel. Mark, I'm on vacation, I want to eat at restaurants. Okay, so a couple tips to help your budget in terms of restaurants. One, don't assume everything or anything's free. Okay, I know in the US you get chips and salsa and free refills and stuff like that. That is not a worldwide phenomenon. Sadly, no. For example, here in Portugal, you pay for the bread and the cheese and the butter they bring to the table. It's in the menu, you don't realize it, but these little things you gotta pay for. You want another Coke? Most likely you're gonna pay for another Coke. So just have a heads up for that, just by knowing like, hey, what's free, what's not free, because that's how you can end up paying an extra 5 or 10 euros on your bill when you didn't realize it. And you know what? 5 or 10 euros, add that up over a week. Hey, I mean, that's quite a bit of money you could be doing other things with, all right? But probably the most important budget tip for restaurants when you travel is don't eat at the tourist restaurants in the touristy parts of town. You go to Rome, you have the way the tourists go. You don't eat in those restaurants. They're always packed with tourists. And here's what happens. when you go to tourist restaurants, you pay twice the price for half the taste. And you don't want that. So make sure you kind of venture out a little bit farther from the tourist centers to go to restaurants. If you see a lot of locals there, the food's probably good and probably the price is good too. So do have a heads up for that, because honestly, tourist price stuff in the tourist area is always going to get you. Whether you're in Orlando or you're in Venice, oh my God, Venice is horrible for that. You'll see those things out there, okay? Now we'll kind of finish off now with some general budget advice when you are traveling. And these are things I've seen people make mistakes with when they have gone. Probably the biggest and most expensive one, don't forget to tell your phone company that you're going to be traveling. Look, I love having internet and checking my comments from my fans and having fellow travelers and checking my bank balance and making sure we have money to pay for our trips and stuff like that. But the thing is, I need to make sure my phone company knows I'm going to travel and I can get that international data plan. Because if you don't have the international data plan, you can rack up seriously high bills on your phone. And you may say, oh, I'm only going to check it once a day for a little bit. Yeah, I got a phone call from AT&T. Liam, when he was 2 years old, got on my phone and was watching YouTube in China, and we had like a $500 bill. Like, what happened? I had my phone off. There was nothing there. Oh, someone turned it on, sir. You now have a big bill. Look, you got to be careful with that. Make sure you let them know. Get that data plan. Or if you're not going to get the data plan, turn off your data, turn off your phone, and just use it as a Wi-Fi device for that. But for safety reasons, I always recommend getting even the cheapest international plan in case you need to make a phone call or check a map or something like that. It can make a big difference. But seriously, don't forget to tell your phone company you're going to go and get that plan. Another don't I have for you for first timers for budget issues is don't forget to get travel insurance. I know you see like, why should I pay $100 on my ticket? Why should I pay another $20 on my ticket for the insurance kind of stuff? Well, the thing is, if you're traveling internationally, your insurance plan might not cover things there. I know my from work doesn't cover me here. So every time I go somewhere, I make sure I buy the insurance when I buy my plane tickets in case something happens. And the thing is, that's not one of those ones that saves you money right away. But if the worst does happen, it does save you a lot of money in the long run. All right. Now, some other kind of things I would say, another budget don't is don't forget your budget. Look, if you're going to be traveling, know how much you can spend. Because I've seen people that kind of get caught up in the moment and they're like, yes, we're going to go do the $200 jet ski ride trip, or let's go to Switzerland and spend too much money when we're there. Look, you get very much caught up in the moment when you are traveling, and it is awesome. But the thing is, you need to have a budget and understand what you're going to be spending things on so you don't blow a whole week's budget on one kind of fun night in London, which can happen when you go to London, all right? So just have an idea of what your budget is so you don't blow it. And what helps with not blowing your budget is another thing is don't forget to do your research about the destinations you're going to go to. What museums are free? Or maybe there's a day of the week when museums are free and you can get those discounts. For example, in Spain, get the lunch special during the day. You can save a lot of money having a lunch special versus eating your big meal at night. And so if you do your research, you can find these things out. And the thing is, some cities you'll find out are beyond your budget. You know, people wonder, Mark, why don't you have more videos on Switzerland or other places? I'm like, it's just too expensive for us to go there. I can't afford to go there. We try to go to more affordable places because we've done our research and realized I can't do 4 weeks in Switzerland. I can do a week in Switzerland, but not 4 weeks, okay? So that's where your research can kind of help you out with your budget. And that kind of goes into another thing is don't be afraid to try different destinations. For example, here in Portugal, it is a very affordable vacation destination. Spain is very affordable. So if you're looking to save money and budget better, maybe do a trip to Portugal and Spain versus Germany and Austria. Or maybe do the Baltics instead of Scandinavia. Or maybe you do, Southeast Asia versus Japan. You can save money by visiting the cheaper destinations. And even cheap destinations, they have great things to see as well. So you do have that. And then I have 2 things for you to finish off. One thing, don't forget to get discount passes and cards when you can, but doing the research, make sure you'll know if it's actually worth it. For example, do you get the city pass that gives you 50 museums and free public transportation? Well, it might depend if you're going to go to all those museums. If you're not, it might not be worth it. And another pass that I find that's not always worth the money are like the Eurorail passes. Because the thing is, unless you're going to be doing a lot of train travel, maybe the price doesn't justify it. You might want to do a combination of cheap airlines and just normal train tickets versus a Eurorail ticket. Because that's one way you can, be inefficient with your money. And the last thing I want to say is don't think you have to travel just in the summer. Look, if you travel in the off season or the shoulder seasons, you get significantly discounted plane tickets, discounted hotel rooms, very few tourists out there, so the lines are a lot less, and you can get a lot more bang for your buck if you're going in those shoulder seasons. And what's great, if you come to Europe in September or early October, the weather is usually still pretty good too. Or if you come in April or May, still nice weather, all kinds of stuff, and at a fraction of the cost. So that can be really, really helpful. So do have a heads up for that. So I hope this video helped some new travelers and maybe some old travelers as well to know some better ideas to help budget and save some money on your travels and your stuff. If you want to learn more, maybe how to save money while you travel so you can travel longer, or maybe you want to think about, hey, how do I save money in order to travel? We have videos on that as well to help travelers out. So do check those out on our website at woltersworld.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, all the great social media sites. Just find Wolters World and we'll be there. And if you like travel videos like this, click that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and you'll get new travel videos every Wednesday and Saturday from all over the world. So if you have any other budget advice, please put it in the comment section below so we can help out other new travelers and seasoned travelers save a bit of money so they can enjoy traveling longer. So I'll say bye from Lisbon, a great budget destination, and just a great destination anyway. Bye.